think it's been like 9 months now, something like that. And bro, you have been such a gift and encouragement to our church family. And this, by the way, is not from me, had nothing to do with me. This was handed to me this morning. So I just get to be the blessed one to give it to you. We are going to be honoring our grads. We've got 3 grads, high school graduates coming up, and we're going to be honoring them in a few weeks. But, man, you've got a whole group of people here who love you and are so grateful for you, man, and how you've led us, the heart with which you've led us. And so a bunch of people said, hey, we believe in this kid, we believe in his future, and just kind of chipped in money, wrote notes of encouragement. And so we just want to say as a church family, thank you for all you've invested into us. We love you, we're grateful for you, and we believe that God is going to continue to do great things through you in the years to come. So, yeah, love you, buddy. That is why I love this church family. So thank you guys for the way you care and for the way you see people, the way God sees people. It's so special. Today, 1 year ago today, is when I arrived, and it was my first Sunday here at CCLG. Actually, not my first Sunday. About 20 years ago, I taught here, and this church got around a young 20-something with no kids back then, and sent a group of people and about $20,000 to plant a new healthy reproducing church in Chula Vista. And that church was planted and back in 2007, 2008. So here we sit like 20 years later, and God has kind of come full circle and brought our stories back together. And I could not be more grateful for that. And I came in to this assignment that I feel like the Lord had given me, and that the elders had asked me to take to lead this church together with its people into the future that God had for it. And so in the first year, I've really just tried to do a lot of listening, a lot of asking questions, a lot of praying and fasting, a lot of conversations with our elders, with some of our leaders, with people in the city, with leaders of the city. What are the needs of the city? And we began to formulate together a vision for where we believe God is leading us. But before we talk about where He's leading, one of the important things, and we talked about this in our congregational meeting, but it occurred to me, I'm like, man, not everyone was there. And so I'm like, this would be important to talk about as a whole entire church family. But the first part is to recognize kind of where we are. Because here's what I know to be true. That every church, every organization, every person has a life cycle. Can we all agree with that? And we're a part of a bigger story that God is writing that had no beginning and no end. But our part in His story, both as individuals and as a church, has a life cycle. I remember being a young boy, and we had gone to visit my grandma down in Florida and my mom's side of the family. And I don't know why I remember this so vividly. I was like 7 years old. My uncle had made sure that I was in Miami Dolphins outfit. I don't know why I remember that. I just remember that because I'm like, I put me in some Indianapolis Colts gear or something, but not Miami Dolphins. I don't know why I remember that, but I remember being in this restaurant and we were waiting to be sat at the table. And this family came in. I was sitting next to my uncle, and this family came in, and there was a young man holding a brand new baby that couldn't have been more than like a week or two old. I mean, itty bitty. And then the lady behind him, same family, was pushing in a wheelchair this lady who had to have been just shy of 100, I would think. And the difference between the newborn and the elderly lady was stark. And my uncle leans over and he says, "Chris, that is the circle of life." And I don't know why at 7 that marked me in a way, but it did. Because I saw this brand new baby that had its entire life ahead of it. Couldn't even dream for itself about its future, had no idea what 1 + 1 was, didn't even know its name. But everything lied ahead. And then there was a lady who all of the dreams had been lived. And she was at the very end. Every single one of us has a life cycle. Every church has a life cycle. Right? I mean, think about this. We read about so many churches in the New Testament being planted. The Apostle Paul planted several churches in the Macedonia region, in Philippi, in Colossae, in Ephesus, all over. We read in Acts about the Ethiopian eunuch, a government official who came to understand Jesus as Messiah, and he went back and he started the first church on the continent of Africa. And you guys, what we know today is that those local churches no longer exist. They had a life cycle. But what we also know is that those local churches played their part, and the kingdom of God has advanced to every continent on planet Earth as a result of those churches. Are you with me? And so for us as a church, if we're going to talk about, okay, where are we heading, we must recognize where we are on this life cycle. And so I brought this life cycle. This is a standard life cycle of a human, of a organization, of a church. We're birthed. God sparks a vision. There's growth. There's momentum. There's fruitfulness. There's expansion. And then there's plateau, which in the life of a church is marked by stability and comfort and familiar patterns. And then inevitably there is decline, where there's fewer people, fewer kids, and less impact over time. And so this isn't good or bad, it just is what it is. the important part is to go, okay, where are we and what is God calling us to? Right? So I gathered a group of about 20, 25 leaders from the church, and I said, okay, if you guys were to say, when this church was birthed in 1963-ish, right here, and I say ish because it was birthed in someone or someone's heart long before that. But this church became the Christian Church of Living Grove in 1963. It was birthed. It began to grow. At its peak, there were close to 500 people that were a part of this. The chapel right across the breezeway was filled up. 2 services happened. 3 services happened. Church said, man, we need more space. This is growing. So a lot of you guys here and the patriarchs of and matriarchs of this church sacrificed time, money, blood, sweat, tears, energy to build, to add on. And now we have this huge, huge campus as a result. But as you can tell, there's not 500 people in here. Over time, and again, it's not like bad in the sense of someone did something wrong or there was, whatever. It's not like, it's just that this is the life cycle of human beings. You plateau and then you can begin to decline. So I asked our leaders, where do you think we are? And I just started at birth and I ran my finger along, and at the white X is where they said that they believe we currently are as a church. Fewer people, fewer kids, less impact over time. And the typical thing that a church will try to do when this happens, and by the way, this happens to every single church, notwithstanding, the typical thing that a church will try to do is go backwards and start climbing up that hill. Right? To go, we got to get back. We got to get back to the good old days. Nostalgia is a big thing. Remember when we used to do that? Man, maybe we should try that again. And we try and go backwards so that we can recreate what was. The problem with that, friends, is that time, in the way God instituted it, and space do not go backwards. It only goes forwards. And so the answers are not found in trying to get back to the past. The answer is found in going, God, what do you have for us in the future? There's essentially, if you can see up there, there's essentially 2 paths forward for any church at this point. The first is that you can intentionally give birth to something new and begin that process again. The second option is you can stay in decline and you can go, hey, we had our day. It was awesome. We know God has been faithful, right? And you guys, this church has an incredible legacy. This church, over the years, collectively, has led thousands of people into relationship with Jesus. And that's just right here in Lemon Grove. Last week, we had a pastor come and preach, Pastor Randall from Grace City Church. The Grace City Church was planted 10 years ago. It is a granddaughter church from CCLG. CCLG helped plant the church in Chula Vista. 20 years ago, and then the church in Chula Vista helped plant the church in UTC La Jolla 10 years ago. And hundreds of people have already came to faith in Jesus and been baptized at that church. And that church has now planted other churches. And the church in Chula Vista has been a part of helping plant other churches all throughout San Diego County and the world. Around the world, at least 500 new churches have been planted as a result of the ministry over the years of Christian Church of Lemon Grove. The kingdom of God is advancing today in the world because of the faithfulness of this church. So friends, I think it would be okay if you said, you know what? We want to keep singing the songs that we like. We want to keep running the programs that we like. We know we've been in decline. We know that for whatever reason, we haven't been able to reach the next two generations as much as we had in the past. We're going to continue on that path of decline. Stay comfortable. We've already had our run. We've already impacted lives. We've impacted generations. The church is going to hear, well done, good and faithful servant from Jesus. We could be okay with that. We could keep, going and keep our offerings going to try and keep making payments, and we could maybe keep these doors open for several more years and go, okay, it was a good run. That's one option, is we just allow ourselves to kind of decline slowly to death. Or we could go, nope, as a church family, nope, we're not done yet. Like, yes, we've had a lot of impact over the last 60-some years, but we're not done yet. There are still tens of thousands of people in Lemon Grove and hundreds of thousands of people in San Diego County who need to know Jesus. And we are going to do whatever it takes. We're going to do anything short of sin to reach the next two generations with the gospel of Jesus and pass on the leadership of this church to these next generations. Right? And I'll just tell you, those are two reasonable choices. We can decline slowly, be comfortable, and enjoy the last few years together. Or we can take the tougher step and go, nah, we'll rest in heaven one day. We're going to set our comfort aside. We're going to set our preference aside. And we are going to step out in faith and sacrifice. Do whatever it takes to plant to give birth to a new church out of the same roots of CCLG, so it can take off, so that the next two generations have the gospel. And friends, the elders of this church, after months of praying and fasting, decided, no, we are not going to die slowly, although that might be easier. We are not going to die slowly. We are going to prune ourselves down, die to ourselves and our preferences, and we are going to plant again out of the same roots that this church was planted out of back in 1963. And we are going to believe God for something great. And so this August, and one of the things that we fully believe in is that we have to do this together. All of us. This is going to take all of us. Because this is not us instituting a new program. This is us going, no, together, you guys, we are not done. Together, we have a clear mission from Jesus to make disciples who can make disciples, to help people enter into a life-changing relationship with Jesus so that their lives are transformed. Because when the people of God, when our lives are transformed, guess what happens? Communities that we live in are transformed. Beauty, hope is brought. And so we together are going on a new journey where we are going to, along the way, honor our roots and never forget our roots. But we are also going to boldly cultivate the future together in Jesus' name. And so in the month of August coming up, we are going to have an entire month where we honor together the past of the Christian Church of Lemon Grove, where we invite past pastors, people who have moved out of state. We're going to invite them back to come and celebrate the great legacy of this church. And then on August 23rd, Sunday, August 23rd, we are going to have a celebration of life service for CCLG. And we are going to celebrate all that God has done. And then we are going to draw a line in the sand. And we are going to say, okay, we are going to allow God to do a new thing through a new church that will both honor the past and take us into the future to reach these next two generations. And so after August 23rd, in the fall and then early winter, we will begin gathering as a launch team, a core team to launch this new church. And the elders and myself, we landed upon the name, and this isn't a logo or anything, I just put it up there. We landed upon the name, The Grove. And we feel like that The Grove, the name of the new church, honors our past because it takes the first word of the Christian Church of Lemon Grove, the, and the last word, grove. And it speaks to and honors our past. It also honors our city of Lemon Grove. But the other thing it does is it makes sure that people know that, yes, we are a church for Lemon Grove, but we're a church also for La Mesa and Spring Valley and El Cajon and Santee and all the other places that you guys live. And so we're not limited just to Lemon Grove. And then, of course, we have a Christian church because that's our roots. That's our roots. And we never want to forget who we are. We are not a community center, although we will be a center for the community to gather. Right? We're not a social justice organization, although we will do Christ-centered social justice because we're instructed to as Christ followers. And so we are going to begin the process of making some shifts to begin to step into our reality. And the first step that we're going to take is a kingdom step If you have been around a while, you're familiar with this. If you have not been around a while, you might not be familiar with this. We have an amazing Spanish-speaking church, EAA, that has been leasing space from us for 10 years now. And they meet right across the breezeway here in the chapel. And the chapel seats about 150 people. This auditorium seats, you could squeeze close to probably 400 chairs in here. It'd be really tight. But if we had to, we could, right? And they've been meeting in there. And as a new church that was planted 10 years ago, man, by God's grace, they have been reaching young families and young people like crazy. They have been reaching older people like crazy. They have been growing. They added a second service. They're to the point now where they're maxed out. And they came to me a while back and they said, hey, we are looking, the old Rite Aid down there, we've been looking at maybe purchasing it, but we don't think, that we can afford it. You know how commercial real estate is. It's crazy. And I said, well, man, yeah, I'm sorry, a little bit glad you can't purchase it because I love having you guys around here. They're just amazing people. And I said, well, tell me more. Like, what do you, and they said, yeah, we're going to add a third service. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. But I'm like, man, right now, as a Life of the Church, we typically on an average Sunday have 80 to 90 adults. I'm like in here, and then we'll have another 15 or so kids in the kids area. I'm like, hold on, doesn't it make way more sense? It'll be a better fit for us. It'll be a better fit for them. Wouldn't it make way more sense if we just flopped and you guys begin using the larger auditorium and we'll go into the chapel? And they were floored that we would even consider doing that. I went to our elders and I'm like, you guys, at the end of the day, I know that the note that the bank holds on this building says that the owner is the Christian Church of Lemon Grove. But let's agree on this. God's the real owner. And right now, in 2026, He has entrusted this group of people to steward or manage this building. And you guys, from a kingdom decision, this is a no-brainer. It makes way more sense for this season to allow them to come in here and use this space, and for us to go in there and use that space. It's going to be great for us because it is going to be a much more appropriate sized space for us. It'll give us the opportunity to grow, and honestly, I hope that this fall that we could launch with 2 services so we can give people from the community different times. Hey, come to the 9 o'clock service or come to the 10:30. You like sleeping in? Come to the 10:30. What, the Padres have a 10:30 a.m. game because they're on the East Coast playing the Phillies? Any score updates? Sorry, the Nationals. Go to the 9 o'clock, right? You have friends that you're inviting, and they can only come to, great, okay. It's all future, but I need to get to the point. We decided, you know what? We're going to live open-handed. We're going to treat this building like it is God's building, and we're going to make decisions that we think Jesus would make that honor Him and His church. Because when Jesus returns, if He returns on a Sunday and He looks down on 6970 San Miguel in Lemon Grove, California, He will see one church not two churches. And that one church is his church. Are you with me? And so here's the cool part. I shared with you before, okay? And let me just real quick. Right now, this is what the chapel looks like, okay? It's a beautiful space. It's a little bit aged, okay? This whole campus has about 20, 30 years of deferred maintenance. We're together by God's grace. We have plans to bring this thing back alive. This is, by the way, I used to have to try and describe to you what I saw in my head, but now AI, all I have to do is punch in, make the picture look like this, da-da-da-da. This is what I see in my head. So this is what you're going to see beginning next week. Actually, you're going to see it in a few minutes because we're all going to walk over there together. That's what you're going to see. But we are going to lighten it up, brighten it up, make it a fresh space that's warm, welcoming. This is our breezeway right now. We are going to begin kind of transforming our breezeway to make it a more warm, welcoming, light space. We've got big plans for the future. This is, and these are not, what I'm about to show you, architectural. We're not that far down. Don't look and go, oh, there's a door there. And then 5 years later, when, Lord willing, we actually make some big changes, or 3 years later, you're like, hold on, I thought the door was there. Okay, no, these are just ideas, okay? But we're going to paint the building. When you come in, how many of you are new within the last year like me? Was it confusing when you parked? You're like, where do I enter? Right? So we're like, well, what if we made it not confusing and we put an entrance straight into the gym? But we want to make it, we want to paint, we want to lighten up, brighten it up. Here's the front of the building when you come in. Here's a picture of what we think it could look like. This is a picture of the front of the building right now. This is how we envision it. And anyway, I showed you this. I've got more, but I showed you this if you were in the congregational meeting. And I said, man, here's the truth. We got to the end. And I said, you're probably going, how in the world are we going to pay for this? And I gave you the best answer any great leader can give you. I have no clue. So I'm not claiming to be a great leader. But I do know this, that our Father owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, and He can give and provide however He wants. Do you believe that? Church, I believe this, that with every step of faith we take, God meets us. He meets us. But it requires steps of faith. I was a little hesitant at that meeting to show you this because it looks so crazy and outlandish. And honestly, it is. It's embarrassing sometimes as a leader to stand up and go, I don't know where those funds are going to come from or how that's going to happen. But I've got a whole lot of faith that God provides. But you know what happens when we set our egos aside and when we're willing to go, hey, this may look foolish, but we're just leaving room for God to show up, so only God gets the credit for this, right? So let me tell you, this is wild. So we started talking with the Spanish-speaking church, and they go, hey, you know what? We see your vision. We believe, same as you, that doing renovation, brightening it up, remodeling, that will make the community go, wow, what is happening? Maybe I should check this out. That creating warm, welcoming space could actually make a difference. And so they said, we're going to go halfway with you. I was like, really? And I was floored because they're the leasee. I was like, man, they're willing to invest in this. And so I'm like, that's amazing. And so then I'm like, okay, Lord, we still don't have the money to do our half. How are we going to do that? And Pastor Joel calls me and he says, hey, can we meet? I have the painter ready to go. He's given me a quote to fix all the rotting wood on the building, to paint the entire outside of the building with 20 to 30 year paint, like high quality stuff, to help us with some of the like natural wood and the lighting and the cross. Also, we've got a landscaper, from where the sprinklers went out a while back. The grass is dead. We got a landscaper. So I want you to meet with them so you can tell them like what colors these are in the pictures and I'm like, oh no. Okay, yes, I'll be there. And I'm like, okay. And so we talk to the painter, we get everything squared away. I'm like, Joel, what's your time frame on this? And he's like, I think we're ready to go like right away. And I'm literally standing there thinking, I don't know how I'm going to break it to him that we were just dreaming and we are not ready to go financially right away. We're talking about $50,000 in outside renovations. And I go, oh. And I must have taken a big gulp. And he goes, hey, I wanted to let you know this. That he said, we love this church. And we would not be the strong, healthy church we are without CCLG. And I talked to our board. And we feel more like a partner than we do a leasee. He said, it's how you guys have made us feel. He said, so we decided that there's no need for us to save for Rite Aid. It's gone. So our board is approved for us to completely fund the renovation of the outside of the building. So after the paramedics woke me up, no, just kidding. I literally just sat there in awe of God. I was just floored. And then you guys know how the week before Easter, and the week after Easter, Engage Church, which is the church plant that meets in the park, and how we as a church have said, yes, use our parking lot. That's God's. This is God's. For years, they have parked their trailer there, and they go set up and tear down in the parking lot every week. Pastor Brian and I connected. We were kindred spirits. We had connected, and when I first moved here, just same heart, same love for Jesus and his mission. And Pastor Brian and I get together from time to time, and a couple weeks before Easter, I said, hey, bro, do you know anyone who leads worship? Our worship leader is out of the country for the week before Easter and Easter. And he goes, oh, man, that's a tough one. Easter, I don't know. And then he goes, actually, you know what? We've got a worship leader. What if we just came and did it together? Well, you guys, completely unplanned, completely moving to the Lord. They show up, and he goes, man, those 2 weeks were amazing. He goes, Chris, do you think it would be okay? He goes, when we meet in the park, so whenever it rains or we have inclement weather, I go and I just do a sermon online from my living room, and then I post it, and we have online service. He's like, you think when it rains that we could just come and meet with you guys? And I'm like, yes, for sure. We love having you guys here. And so the week after Easter, it rained. By God's grace, it rained. And they joined us again. And he called me that week. We got together, and he goes, listen, I don't know how to explain all this, but my wife and I were sitting right there. And he goes, we just felt at home with CCLG. And so they announced to their church, there's about 30 to 50 of them. They announced to their church a couple of weeks ago, and that they are going to stop meeting at the park. They're going to close down Engage Church, and they are going to come. Actually, today is their last Sunday where they are honoring their past. They'll be with us beginning next Sunday, and together we're going to move forward. And God, yeah. Because Pastor Brian was like, we are trying to do the same thing, which is bring the kingdom of God to earth as it is in heaven. Let's do this together. And you guys, there's so much more. We'll get into it in the coming weeks. But in the book of Joshua, and by the way, if you're new, I'm sorry this is your first Sunday. Usually I teach verse by verse out of this. Today is so different in that it's a Vision Sunday, but I think it's important for all of us to get on the same page. You guys, in the book of Joshua, the Israelites are on their last journey to actually take step and walk into the promised land that God has given them. But there's one big block in front of them, and it's the raging Jordan River. In fact, right here in Joshua 1, left my reading glasses in my office. Dang it. I'm going to tell you the story, and then I want you to go home and read Joshua 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm getting old. We got to pass this on to the next generation, y'all. I want you to go home and read Joshua 1, 2, 3, and 4, because I want you to read for yourself and make sure that what I'm saying is right, okay? But let me just real quick tell you the story. They come up to the Jordan. The scriptures tell us that it is the time of year where the Jordan has reached flood stage. The river is raging. And the people are looking and going, I don't know how we're going to get from here where we are into the land that God has given us a vision for and that God has promised, into the land that the next generations will live off of and eat off of and know the goodness of God. I don't know how we're going to get from here to there. And so God speaks to Joshua, their leader, and he goes, Joshua, here's what I need first from you. I need you to be strong and courageous. Don't be discouraged. And read Joshua 1. Within the first 8 or 9 verses, God tells Joshua 5 times, do not be discouraged. Do not be afraid. Do not be terrified. Do not be scared. Be strong. Be courageous. I know that the waters look impossible to cross, but just watch. Just walk in obedience. And God tells him, lock your eyes on the Word. Lock your eyes on the Word of God. Dwell on it. Meditate on it day and night. Essentially, keep your eyes on me. And he goes, because if you keep your eyes on me, you'll be able to have faith, and I will make a way. And you guys, you know what happens? The priests carry the Ark of the Covenant. The people, they all were going together. No one was going to be left behind. They got up to the edge of the Jordan. Now, mind you, years prior, the prior generations had seen God part the Red Sea. They had heard the stories. So they get up to the edge of the Jordan. And you know what happens? Nothing. It says nothing happened until they took their first step and their foot hit water in the raging river. And as soon as their foot hit water, poof, the Jordan parted. And the people walked through on dry land, and they stepped into the future God had for them. Not because they were great, but because they said, we can't stay here. God has something more for us. God has a land for the next generations, and we've got to take steps of faith to get across, to get to that land. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. We're going to grieve together. It's going to be tough. But we got to take a step of faith. And you've been hearing about this. But today, I want to ask you, would you go all in with us? Would you cross the Jordan with us? Would you take this new land, this new season that God is wanting to take us into? It takes all of us together, honoring the past, but boldly, courageously cultivating the future together. And we can look and go, I don't know how God's going to do it. And guess what? God goes, I'll use the faith of another church, and I'll start there. And He's already providing. He's already providing. And now it's time for us to take our first step into the raging river, which I know change is scary and hard and uncomfortable and sad. But I want to ask you to keep your eyes on Jesus with us and to keep your eyes on the mission of Jesus, which is to make disciples, who make disciples, who make disciples, that the future generations would know the gospel, that we do not lay down and die, but we boldly cultivate the future together. I'm just wondering, is there anyone who would be willing to take a first step and go all in with me this next year? Anyone? So here's what I want to ask. And by the way, this invitation is open. It stays open. No one's ever excluded. What I want to ask today is for you to put a physical step with that spiritual decision. So we, right now, if you would, stand up. We are all going to walk out through this door. We are going to cross the breezeway. We're going to cross this breezeway as our spiritual Jordan.